Been grinding on Uber Eats, Grubhub, and DoorDash. And in this video, we're going to talk about how much money I made and how much money I'm paying in taxes here in the Washington DMV. So let's get started. So it is true, you can make a full-time living doing this. And actually been very surprised by the amount of money I made this year. It's not great, I have to admit, but I did this full-time, more than full-time. I put 10 to 12 hours per day at the very minimum. Lately I've been backing off because the food delivery game is drying up. I don't know what happened. I think it's because of the taxes. So I'm in the Maryland area and we have a pretty big income tax. If you're not aware, if you're watching this in another country, in the United States you have taxes that are federal taxes, and then on top of the federal taxes you have state taxes. Now there are some states that don't have the state tax, such as Texas, Tennessee, Florida, but you still have to pay federal. And the federal basically goes into the military and everything. It's really retarded. I hate paying taxes. Everybody hates paying taxes. And you know, I'm wondering right now if it's even worth doing this. So some of the expenses that you have in this game is basically your scooter. That's the big investment, or your car. And then you have tires, oil changes, gas. The miles, I think that's what people usually tend to deduct from their taxes. It's the mileage. And I think I did about 30,000 miles in last year just doing food delivery. No pleasure rides, just straight up food delivery. And I did deduct that. So at the end of this video, I'm going to show to you the amount of taxes that I'm paying. Crazy. Oh my God. You know, and that's the problem with being a contractor. When you're a contractor, you basically don't get anything withdrawn from your paycheck. So the Social Security taxes, you don't pay that. You don't pay any taxes as you get paid. And then at the end of the year, it's like, here, surprise, surprise, here's what you owe. You know, this is also a video explaining if it's worth it. You know, I'm debating if it's worth doing this. Let's start out with a big number. All my income combined for last year was $51,000. And $51,000 is not like too shabby. There's a lot of entry-level positions that pay that much. So I'm not too disappointed. I was actually surprised because you know, honestly, it should have been much higher with the amount of hours that I put in. And even if you worked the same amount of hours in a McDonald's job, you would make more money at minimum wage. But $51,000 is not that much, not around this particular area, because you also have the expenses. As a contractor, you have crazy expenses. All of this time going around, picking up food, risking my life on a scooter in an area where people are pretty darn aggressive. It really makes you wonder if it's worth it, the risk. You know, first of all, I do like being out and riding, but some days are quite frustrating. January, all of February have been really terrible because there's not a lot of people ordering food, and I think people feel the tax burden as well. I'm gonna go this way. So people feel that tax burden. $51,000, man. That's entry level. That's a bad entry-level salary these days. If you work in an office, that's kind of a really... That chick's wearing a mess. Yeah, it's kind of nutty. entry-level office work. I believe the minimum wage around here is like $15, $17 an hour, and I am barely making that. All right, so get a hold of this. I have to pay $6,500, a little bit more than $6,500 for federal taxes. Whew. And then 2,000 something for state taxes. I think it's like 3,000 for state. So close to $9,000 worth of taxes. Isn't that crazy? $9,000. Let's say you took your taxes to get done at Quicken or TurboTax. That's an additional $200. How insane is that you paid $9,000 worth of taxes to the government? That's insane. That's what you pay for a big military, all of these weapons being sent to Ukraine. That's it. Everybody's funding that, and you have no choice of not paying it because they'll jail you. $1,000 worth of taxes. That's about 3 months of straight up working. Over 3 months. It's like 4 months out of the year that you have to work for the government. And the thing is, at $50,000, you get put in a different tax bracket. I think it's like right now, around here, it's 22%. 22% of taxes, and the more you make, the more you pay. But if it was at around $35,000, then I think the taxes are lower, like 15%. Hey, that's my buddy, the Rebel. I haven't seen that guy forever. I bet he got hit by the tax man. This is why, like, a while ago there was a guy that worked for the IRS, and he's like this big burly black guy, and he was crying that he lost his job. And all of these people that are paying taxes, they're like, man, the tax collector is crying that he can't take money away from you. But that's crazy. You know, the thing is, when I worked in an office, it didn't hurt as much to pay these taxes. But in this gig, you always have to be on. You're always paying attention. You're always working. I worked until like 1 in the morning. And then the realization that you have to pay the tax, man, 3 months of your entire salary is insane. And then I also have other things to pay, like house taxes, property taxes. That it's like $5,200. Isn't it? So, like in the United States, you have shitty healthcare, you have no benefits, and then you have the honor of paying for an insane amount of taxes. In Europe, you have high taxes, but at least you have healthcare. We have to pay addition to get healthcare around here. It's not free. You have to pay. That's why, like the European system, it's like higher taxes, but you get all of these things. It makes much more sense. Sneak by this guy. It's insane. And you know, can you imagine if you make like $100,000? You're paying what, 20-something thousand dollars in taxes? Over 20,000. You have all of these expenses, and not only that, your insurance for your vehicle. You also have to pay your phone bill, and all of this stuff is deductible. But when it comes to deductions, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really lower the cost. It just barely nudges it. Yeah, being a contractor, it's kind of a pain in the ass. Sure, you have all of this freedom, but at the end of the day, I've only made about $41,000, and then you have to deduct all the other expenses. It is just, I think, all in all, I think from doing this, you might just be able to make $30,000 for all of this trouble. It's mind-numbing. End of the year as a contractor, you really get hit, and there's no way to avoid it. There's no way you can avoid the taxes. So unfortunately, you have to just realize that the government is going to take a big portion of the money that you make. It always seems very strange that the government takes so much money to me. And whoever keeps saying that, oh, we should pay more taxes, it's probably not your own money. Come on, man. Come on. Oh my God, these people. Get through the light. And, you know, it's all bad. There's nothing like gig work. There's nothing like this type of work. The amount of freedom that you have, you can pick and choose the hours. But the issue is that you tend to work much longer than a regular job. All of this with the expenses, I think I'm at around 30-something thousand, maybe 35,000 of full-time work. Full-time work, more than full-time, more than 8 hours a day. Alright guys, I hope this was educational to you. I know that it's quite a few negative things to the food delivery game, but at the same time, you know, it's a job that anybody can go out and get, and it's a great side hustle. And yeah, you have to pay more taxes, but also the freedom. The freedom cannot be beat.